How's it going, everybody? This is David Morrow, Hard Target. We're going to go back to the Huron County incident. I have a witness with me right here, my friend Phil, that actually picked me up while this thing was going on. And this is what happened whenever I was in the hospital there. We went back to the scene, and he helped me locate my vehicle, got me out of the hospital at the time. I wasn't charged with any criminal charges at the time. They released me on my own reconnaissance, and if you read my discovery, it specifically says that I was supposed to be detained in Huron County at the time while everything was going on. So I'd like to introduce to you my good friend Phil Champion. His relatives are the heirs to the spark plug company, Champion Spark Plugs. He's got relatives that were on the line with that. And if you would, this is Phil here, and he's going to clarify everything with the Huron County incident. I had him come up here on the 4th of July. We're going to have a dinner and everything today, and he would like to throw his change in on here. But I'm going to go back to the Huron County incident to where everything was at full swing. This is after the chase that I was in, and I was in the ICU unit, and when I was in ICU, I had my family, they contacted the hospital. I don't know how they knew I was there, and they told them that I'm 40 years old, it's time for me to stop running in the woods and people chasing me and this and that. So that kind of deterred me from doing anything else. But in the meantime, I was to be detained and sent to Huron County while this was going on, when I had no idea why I was being detained, because I was in fear of my life when I went to this house out in the woods. And Phil here, he come and picked me up from the hospital. Now, Phil, on that day, when you come and got me out the hospital, I want to hear your take on what happened and the phone call and everything that I called you during that day. You can take it from there, bud.
Well, when you called, I heard you were in the hospital. I left work, came seen you. You were able to leave. They didn't say anything. You didn't have any clothes or any possessions. You were in a paper gown.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a purple gown, purple paper gown,
Yes.
Because they chased me. The people that were chasing me around this property line for a couple miles were shooting at me. I got shot in the shoulder. My right shoulder was injured, and I was dehydrated, and I found refuge in this house, and I lost my clothes out in the woods, which are still out there in the middle of this place to this day. And I had a silver chain, $40, and a pair of pants, some shoes, and a shirt out there that I couldn't retrieve at the time, because whenever I lost all these items, I was clearing a creek from being shot at by these individuals that lived out there, and I had to take everything off because I was bogged down and wet to keep from making noise while these people were shooting at me and everything. And that's when Phil came in the picture, is what he's talking about with the paper, the clothes that the hospital had me in. And another thing is, Phil showed up at the hospital later on that day. I called him to come and get me because nobody else would. He knew what was going on in advance. He had a couple incidences with me in Mansfield before this went about the way it did, and he observed the behaviors of all these people following me around in the middle of the night. If you can go back to that, Phil, when we was in the middle of Mansfield, when I come from Columbus, and basically I come to your house to get some things from my brother's house, and I was staying at your house that night, but we were staking out my brother's place where he was at on, what was the name of that? Sheridan Avenue, I believe it was?
Yeah.
It was on Sheridan Avenue. And then we went up the hill from there. We was staking out the house to make sure that everything was code steady, and it wasn't. Phil, if you could tell us what happened leading up to that point whenever I come to your house.
Yeah, we've seen certain individuals doing something, putting something in a van, going back into a house, and we just observed them for a little bit, and then we got out of there and went back to my place.
And they were literally at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
And if you hang a right, you'd be at my brother's driveway. And this was happening, on the bottom of the hill there?
Yes.
So he noticed that at first. And then everything I was describing to him at the time, it was people following me around, people chasing me and everything. Everybody thought I was on drugs or I was losing my mind or something, but Phil stuck with me the whole time through all this, even though he reserved what he was thinking at the time. And as everything progressed, he knew it wasn't a cockamamie story that I was making up. He knew it was legit. He knew me as a person. He knew what was going on. He didn't know exactly what was going on, but he knew that I wasn't making this up, that I had no reason to lie about this thing. And he knew that there was people following me around and messing with me, but we didn't know why at the time. Know why. Now, back to the Huron County incident. You come and got me from the hospital, and then what happened from there?
Well, we went back to the woods where he stashed his keys in his wallet. Well, we did a little look around. By that time, his paper suit was all ripped up, so we left, went back to my place. I gave him some clothes. And then the following day, we went back out there, found his keys, found out where his truck was, got a hold of them. They told us to come back. So we went back to the following day?
Yeah, because Huron County, we called them, and they found out where my truck was an impound at the time when it was parked. When I parked it that night, I got chased to this ball field / wooded area to where they had me hemmed up with helicopters and people coming in the woods on me and everything. And the next day I was shot at and chased and pursued till I got to this abandoned house out in the middle of where I was at in Huron County. And that's where the other things played out. And after that, Phil brought me to Mansfield after we retrieved my keys and everything that I stashed out in the woods. And then we went on from there. And then do you remember what happened after that, Phil?
Well, we had to go back and get his truck. And then they gave us a little bit of problem about getting his truck back. But luckily the other dude said we'd get it back that following day, so we went and got it. And then after that, then we went back to my place and he got whatever stuff he had left at my house and he left.
Hold on a second. Well, that was my old lady getting a hold of me about what's going on in the fireworks and everything. So, back to the story. Basically, after we left the hospital, I went back to Phil's house. He gave me some clothes because I didn't have anything because everything that I had was in my truck at the time before we could go back and get my truck out of impound, which, at the fact of, I was supposed to be detained by Huron County, which I never was, and sent to the Huron County Detention Center to face charges of F3 burglary, which I did not do because I was running in fear of my life to a house I didn't know where it was at, in the middle of nowhere where I've never been before in my life, into a town where I've never been to in my life as well. So, after that, Phil, we go back to Phil's house, and then what, Phil?
Well, then he gets a phone call about going up to Ashtabula to transport Amish people places. And we basically told him not to, but he didn't listen.
Yeah, I didn't listen because everything was going so fast. Like I say, I'm all in with all this program stuff that they were doing to me at the time. So I wanted to see where this would lead to. And they told me, they advised me not to go because they had a bad feeling about all this stuff. And to stay there and heal up and then go from there because I did work out of town. I was doing a lot of contract work at the time through Tradesman International and some other fucking businesses at the time. And I was making a lot of good money. And so I get a call from somebody that ghosted me at the time and had me come to them, basically. They haven't spoke to me in 3 months and magically they reappeared on the radar, wanted me to come make additional money in Amish country, which I've never been to as well, and make money. So when I heard dollar signs, I'm on my way. Plus I had tools to do whatever, and that was on the hot list to take out of my possession along with my truck once they got rid of me, and which they were almost on their way to do in the middle of Lake Erie. So, what do you think, Phil, about everything that I've showed you so far, from the ground zero part of everything back to where I showed you once I got out of the hospital. Like, I thought people were hunting me. I thought it was a death cult. We looked it up on the internet. I remember we was looking at YouTube videos all night trying to figure out why this scenario was taking place like it was doing, and we couldn't get no answers. So from now, from going from what you know now, from what you knew then, what would you say the outcome of this would be now? Like, do you think that the government does this on a regular? Did they go after just certain targeted individuals to make them targets? Did they do this out of random, or has this been a pre-selected campaign for everybody that they deem unfit to be in part of their New World Order / the Patriot Act, which this is a part of? Warrantless wiretaps that they can do on any American citizen they deem a threat to national security or the Republic of the United States, what it still is, which they call democracy.
Oh, it's definitely eye-opening. It's like you got to watch your ass. But I think you're just targeted because you know something that they don't want you to get.
Well, that something was the National Geographic documentary, which I was told by him and one of these people up and getting answers with force that I needed to get, and they let me know right off the bat it is because this is what started it all, was the National Geographic documentary, which there's other factors that led to this, including a bomb in my house in Arkansas, me having militia ties and other things, and me and being a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans all play a factor in this, because you can paint me as a terrorist once you get all these factors included in their profile, which the fusion centers do, courtesy of the Department of Homeland Security, courtesy of community-oriented policing, which we have a problem with now. That's what I'm going after, is community-oriented policing, and they're the ones that are heading all of these operations, thanks to Neighborhood Watch, InfraGard, Citizens on Patrol, and thereon and so forth. So, Phil, what would you give advice to other people that, let's say, okay, you were new to this at the time, and you were my best friend, and you knew I wasn't on drugs, you knew that I was a good dude, I was an outstanding person, and somebody come at you with this, and you were hearing this for the first time ever, what would be your response if you did a little bit of research and everything like that?
Well, first of all, I do research and then find people that's been going through this, get a hold of them, so they can tell you their story and how they've been dealing with it.
So, you know I'm not crazy after all this, because you knew I wasn't crazy before. But I've been told by other people that I'm insane, I need to be medicated, I need to be locked away, because I am hallucinating, I'm imagining all this. But if that was the case, how come the rest of the United States and the rest of the world are still having this mass hysteria, crazy delusional, government conspiratorial problems that we are all facing now? Is it because we have lived in a United States of North Korea? Because that's what our government has turned into now with all these liberals in office? Or is this something that's ongoing, whether than they just pick and choose whoever their targets are?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's probably just the targets. They probably think that he's an easy target. They just want to do whatever they have to that person, ruin their life.
So, since we're living in the United States of North Korea now, whatever you say on Facebook, whatever you say on YouTube, whatever you say on any platform out there, if they deem it unfit, they can easily turn you into a fusion center sponsored by the Department of Homeland Security, and it trickles down into the local police departments, which it has, and then they run the operation. They get these crash dummies out there and all these crackheads and all these snitches, and they let them run amok, let them commit crimes on you, and with our tax-paying dollars, get all these people involved, even family members, friends of the individuals that are being targeted, and let them run amok on them. The reason why they do this is because this is a program that is based when Hoover was head of the FBI as a COINTEL program from the 70s into I think it was the 60s into the 70s, early 80s. And it graduated from that into what we have now after 9/11, which is the Patriot Act, which they can do warrantless wiretaps on all civilians, no matter what you've done. You don't have to be of Middle Eastern descent. They can do it to you whenever they want to. I did a piece a couple weeks ago on Tucker Carlson from Fox News. He does a show, and the NSA come after Tucker, and they told Tucker that they were going to expose some of his emails if he didn't silence and lower down his tone, and they wanted to show off the air, which is off Fox News. So with that being said, Tucker told them that he has nothing to hide, and they can't do that to him. Go ahead and just run it. If you want to rip me apart, just try to. He has nothing to hide. Same thing. We are getting threatened by government officials, government agencies, state, local, everybody in this program, because they do not want free thinkers in this society that they have coming up, and they do not want anybody that has any leadership skills to be a part of their New World Order plans. They want us X out, people. That is what they want. So, from here on out, we are going to continue to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to expose this. You can report any crimes that you have on the Brady's list, and you can get in touch with me. I can leave any link that you want on the comment section. Just ask for it. I can give you the link to the Brady's list. I can also give you the link to how the Brady's list works. Of course, I'm a citizens reporter for the Brady's list and an administrator on the site, and I do have my credentials, and that tops anything else that anybody has to say to me negative-wise on that, because I definitely have made things happen. I've got federal lawsuits going as it is, and if you have one, and if you have evidence that's documental evidence that we can put on this list, please get a hold of me, and I will show you how to do it. And if you're too scared to do it, I will do it for you. I am not in fear to do this at one iota. So, everybody, you have a safe and happy 4th of July. And anything in your life, if you're new to this program and you don't know what's going on, please research everything, document everything, put it on the Brady's list. It'll be on there. The federal prosecutors, investigators will definitely be looking into it, and it will be exposed, and you'll definitely have it in a United States courthouse in front of a judge. Until next time, this is David Morrow, Hard Target. Like, subscribe, share this video, and I'm out. Thank you.